Welcome to the New School of Marketing podcast, the place for smart, simple strategies that will amplify your business results. Sharing practical tips, insider knowledge, and actionable advice because marketing is something that every business owner can do. Now, let's get started. Introducing your host, Bianca McKenzie, mum, lover of snow sports, camping, horse riding, and in-demand launch strategist and Facebook advertising knowledge bank.
Welcome to the New School of Marketing podcast. I'm Bianca McKenzie, and today we're talking about what happens when you decide to give your business a name no one can pronounce with Catharine Redden. Catharine and her brothers took over an existing business when they were 12, 10, and 7. What they didn't realize at that time was that it was potentially illegal. Spoiler alert, no one went to jail. Catharine now runs a marketing business that helps small business owners handle their marketing. Every now and again, she even has an idea that makes them money, the old-fashioned way, legally. Welcome to the show, Catharine.
Oh, Bianca, thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. I'm going to have to dive into this right away. Tell me more about your illegal business.
When my granddad, so I grew up on a farm in South Australia and we lived next door to my grandparents. And when he died, we inherited his house cow. And he had a little, what we would know as a side hustle, where he would sell the milk to people in the town. So I grew up in a town of about 50 people. And he would sell it to the school teachers and actually even the shop owner and, the bus drivers and whatever. So we inherited the cow and my brothers and I took over that little business. So the boys would milk the cow. I tried, but she kicked the bucket, so that was never going to work. And my job was to decant it into these, those 2-litre glass port flagons. I don't know if they still sell them.
Yeah.
But there's really, so you would decant it into that. And Dad made this thing for my bike where I could kind of put them on my bike. And before school, it was my job to sort of deliver the milk and collect the bottles. And I think Mum probably washed the bottles. Like in retrospect, you think you do everything yourself. But Mum probably washed the bottles. My job was also to separate. We sold cream as well. So you'll have to Google this, people, but it's an old-fashioned machine to separate the cream from the milk. And Mum would always say she couldn't tell if I was late for school because the faster you wind the handle, the thicker the cream gets. So if I was late for school, I'd be winding it really fast and the cream would be almost like butter. So that's what my brothers and I did for a long time. And the reason it's illegal is because you can't sell unpasteurized, unhomogenized milk.
No, I know. It's a shame though, because it's honestly nothing better than milk straight from a cow, right?
Yeah, and I live in Brisbane at the moment, and there's a company up here that there's a couple that do unhomogenized milk that has the cream on the top. And I love it because it reminds me of that, kind of brings back those good memories of childhood.
Yeah, I remember milking a cow. I didn't grow up on a farm. Yeah, I didn't grow up on a farm, but I spent a lot of time on farms and around horses, but also around cows. And I remember the place where I spent a lot of time, they milked everything by hand still. I think they only had about 50 or so cows, not a whole lot. But
by hand, that's
yeah. It's on this tiny little stool, and you had to sit there and it was kind of crazy. I loved being around that. We actually we made some farm friends around here and some dairy farm friends. So I can't actually wait to have some proper milk again when we visit them next time. But I love that story. I think that's great. And that's what a good way as a child to learn about business and about all the bits and pieces that go into it, illegal or not. But I think that's great.
I didn't even really realize it was a business. Not until kind of decades later when I started my own, did I think, we didn't get pocket money. We got, and the people would just come in. We didn't have keys to our house. Literally, we went away on one family holiday, and I remember my parents nearly got divorced because they couldn't find the keys to lock their house. So people would just come in the back door and put money in the fridge, but we didn't have pocket money. And I'm not sad about that. It's just I didn't quite realize that was a business. But when I think about what my job was and what the boys, like we all knew what we were doing, and we just did it, and it didn't feel like work. It was kind of fun. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed my little morning rounds.
I can totally imagine. And here you are. Now you have a business. Well, now you actually purposely
If I
and
pay tax and
yeah,
follow the
intentionally
law.
and it's legal. Um, so tell me a little bit about your current business.
Um, should have expected this question. I run a marketing business. I guess I'm a copywriter, and I run a marketing business that helps small business with their organic marketing. So you do the paid stuff very well, but I kind of do help people with the stuff that comes before that. So my biggest selling service is I write social media captions and emails for people. I'm very strong on email. Do a bit of social media management and marketing strategy. And I also have a membership for women who run small businesses who want to really make time to do their own marketing. So, you know what it's like when you run a business, it can be quite isolating,
Mhm.
and we can sometimes get overwhelmed with the business and family and life and all of that kind of stuff that we don't make the time to do our marketing.
Yeah.
So I started a membership where there's, particular times in the week where we all get together online and do our marketing in silence. It's kind of cool.
I love it. Now, let's talk about the name that nobody can pronounce. And then you can also tell me about your membership, because I really love the name of your membership. So tell us about the names and how you came up with them.
So I don't know the name of my marketing business is called Zhuge, as in give your hair a zhuzh, your socials. And I don't know, I can't remember how I came up with that name. Um, it really was one of those times where I'd just been kicked out of I was leading a women's networking group and had a disagreement with the owner of that, and stopped running that. But I had discovered the power of Facebook groups, and I thought, oh, that wasn't too hard to build that group. Maybe I should do that for my copywriting business. And then I don't know where I actually don't know where the name came from. If I had a client that said to me, I'm going to call my business your socials, I would plead with them not to, because nobody can spell zhuzh. I actually found out after I've registered the name and I'm going through a trademark process. There's a really big clothing store in Australia called Zhuzh, which actually won't affect my trademark. But what it means is when people Google it, the clothing store comes up.
Uh-huh.
It's sort of, but I've had that brand now for 4 or 5 years. It's got beautiful branding. I really like it. People know it as Zhuzh. I'm not gonna change it because people will find me,
Yes.
And the name of the marketing membership is much easier and more straightforward. It's called Peach Club, and the reason it's called Peach Club is because there's a quote by Dita Von Teese, and she says, "You can be the ripest, juiciest peach in the world, and someone's always going to hate peaches." And when I read that quote, I think it probably even was before I started a business, but I'd gone through a lot of my life thinking that I wasn't good enough, and really getting bogged down in that feeling of not being enough. And really, I kind of took the teenage angst of worrying about what everybody thought about me way into my 20s and 30s. And so I was probably in my 40s when I heard or read that quote. And it just resonated with me so much that I've called the membership Peach Club, because it's about, I feel like women like we really worry a lot that we're not good enough, and we strive so hard to be better and the best, and we try and, we compete with ourselves and others all the time, that it's when I stood back a bit and thought, well, this is who I am as a person, and this is what my business is like. And it's not going to be for everyone. And that's okay. There's nothing I can do about that. And it was a very freeing, um, it's a very freeing thing to read that quote. I love Dita Von Teese as well. And so I love how unapologetically, I mean, she's got a marketing and media persona too, but she really does embody that. So, yeah, so it's called Peach Club.
I love it. And I I think if you relate that to marketing as well, I think a lot of us, and I'm pretty sure that putting out a really wild guess here, but I reckon 99% of women have struggled or are struggling with not good enough feeling, feelings of failure. And when we run a business, I think we let that stop us from doing marketing as well.
Yeah.
It stops us from showing up because, and that's, social media is great, but at the same time, we see so many. I kind of feel like that all the time. I'm like all these young, fresh faces, and I'm like, oh man, I can't be bothered.
I want to tell you like how when I started my marketing business, I kind of knew that there's a lot of power in LinkedIn that people sometimes overlook. LinkedIn's, we were talking about the algorithm before we came on air, but LinkedIn and how it doesn't matter. But the LinkedIn algorithm is a lot more favorable to organic marketing than other platforms. And also LinkedIn is a platform where people expect you to promote. I was so scared of advertising on LinkedIn because my best friend is a very successful lawyer. She was an equity partner at 30, like in this big law firm, and she's very successful. And for some reason, I thought that she would judge me for starting this little bloody business that I haven't got a university degree for. And that stopped me. And she has never been anything but supportive of me. But that thought of her stopped me from posting. And then I thought about that Dita Von Teese quote, and I just think, well, if my marketing's not for her, it's not for her, And
Yep.
she actually doesn't give a shit. I've just spotted by doing that.
Yeah, I think it lets us stop us in so many ways. So I love that you've called it Pitch Club. I actually like that you've called it Juice Your Socials because it stands out. Like
Okay.
it's memorable. It's something that it's not boring. It's like, and I think that was why, well, one of the reasons I reckon that you built that online community up so fast, and so well is partly because of the name, because it was different. And obviously partly, or a lot of it also because you're just really good at building community.
Thank you. I like the word "juice" too, because what I really believe in it, and when there's the Australian tax definition of small business, which I think is less than 10 people. I actually don't know what it is, but let's just hypothetically say the Small Business Australian Tax Office think it's less than 10 employees turning over $5 million a year. Whereas my clients in Judge and in Peach Club tend to be really small, one woman shows. They might be working part-time in their business and part-time in a paid job. And I believe that when you're at that stage in your business, the best person to do your social media is you. And so part of the Zhuzh thing is like you already know enough about your business. You actually know the most about your business. You know the most about your clients. And even if you don't think you are good at marketing, you're the best person to be doing it because it really just needs a little Zhuzh,
Yes.
So that's what, yeah. And I know that people don't like marketing. There's a lot of research that says small business hate two things: bookwork and marketing. And I know that people don't like doing it. But I think in the beginning, it's really important to just give it a go. Whatever whatever feels right for your business, give it a go, because you are best placed to do it yourself at the start.
I agree. Yep, 100% agree. Well, let's dive in a little bit more into marketing. So we've talked about how us women let our insecurities and our fear of not being good enough and all of that hold us back. But let's also talk about marketing. What are some of the common marketing challenges you've seen with small business owners, and particularly women, apart from not feeling good enough and, not wanting to do their marketing?
I think it's consistency.
Mm,
I don't really want to always talk about Peach Club, but I do think it's consistency and making the time, and perhaps not understanding that, or not wanting it to take a long time, but it really does. The evidence says if you're running a business and you're doing everything yourself, and no one's going to like this answer, but about half your time should be spent on marketing
mm.
to be effective. And so if you're already running a business and you're spending 20 or 30 or 40 hours a week doing the actual thing that makes you money, the thought of spending 10 or 20 hours on marketing doesn't appeal to me, doesn't appeal to anyone. And so I think a big challenge is making time and then doing it. And then the challenge that comes with that is when you put up a post or you write an email or you go to a networking event, or whatever marketing task you do, you often don't get that immediate gratification of a sale. And so then I don't know how men think, but I know then that what women think is, I'm not doing it right, I'm not good enough, this will never work, I need a lot of money, what am I doing? And that kind of spirals into it did for me, it can spiral into I don't know what I'm doing. Like, can you imagine being a marketer running a marketing business and thinking your marketing's not working? Like, it's not great. It's not great for your self-esteem or any of that. So I think the challenges kind of double down on each other. It's the fact that it does take time.
Yeah.
And then when you do it, not being able to see that immediate results,
Yeah.
it's kind of like a really hope situation, which when you're running a small business is a really hard place to be in.
I can totally see what you're saying. Like, it's marketing, yes, it needs to build on each other. It's like compounding. And people do notice, people do see, but people might not be ready right now to purchase. And I think, yeah, if you keep going, and I guess the other issue, and this is what I see as well, is like, even if you're doing the marketing and you're not seeing the results, sometimes it's because you don't know how to read the results.
Yeah, absolutely. And absolutely. So I have one KPI that I suggest all my clients look at in marketing, and that's your bottom line. Because you can't tell. So, right, most of my sales, if you will, most people sign up for Peach Club or contact me about copywriting through emails that I send out. That's like I guess the final, that's where the sale is often made,
Mhm.
is through an email. But what's behind that are social media posts and me showing up in my Facebook group and me going to face-to-face networking meetings and me updating my Google profile and me finally publishing my website. Hooray. And all of that, so what's behind that person who's read that email is not just the email, it's like a whole lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
I find, and it's not the be all and end all, but I find Google Analytics really good for just giving me an overall picture of what's happening. How do you do it?
Bit of everything. I mostly look at Facebook data because for Facebook advertising data because that's what's telling me. But I also look at my landing page visits, my conversions from those landing page visits, conversions like list growth versus conversions. Yeah, there's a whole lot of things. But I think if you bring it back to traditional marketing, old school kind of stuff, it's the whole thing of having a shop front, someone walking past, like 50 different times, they see it, they notice it, they look at it, they might be curious, they might be interested. And then one day you've like changed your window display and something's like really calling to them and they come in and they buy something. Like, I think they need to see you in lots of different, it's what they call touch points. Like they might see 5 different Facebook posts, then you post something in a group, then you send that email, and then that email is kind of the thing that finally gets them in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because people are, I could talk just for hours and hours about email, but when people read an email, they're in a frame of mind to take in information. It's totally different to doom scrolling.
Yes.
I do, if you're not using paid advertising, then to hope that social media is a sales vehicle, I think it's folly. I see my social media as merchandising, as what, as a digital shop front. I don't hope or expect people to buy from me just from seeing an Instagram post or even a Facebook post or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I see that as my digital shop front. And I think before I don't know if you know this, I'm just plucking this figure out, but for instance, before digital marketing became a thing, I think, was it 13 to 30 touch points somebody needed? Now it's can be up to 300. It's changed a lot.
It has changed a lot.
I mean, and there are controversial stats anyway, but I think the message to take home from that is old school marketing, you needed to see something dozens of times probably before you bought. And this is for an average person. All of our buying behaviors are different, but for an average person. But now, because our brains, are used to doom scrolling and used to a lot of information at the same time, that's gone up a lot more. And actually, one thing I do want to mention while we're talking about all of this is word of mouth is still so prevalent and important. And I think it's something that we forget, that word of mouth, and by word of mouth, I kind of mean your reputation as well, is so important.
Yes, I 100% agree. And I think organic social media is a great way to establish that reputation, to uphold that reputation, to sort of build that authority, that connection. So like you said, you're merchandising, you're really, it's not just the buy this, buy this, buy this. It's like, this is who I am. I create this. I do this. This is how I help people. And using those examples rather than saying, buy from me, buy from me, buy from me. They need to have that connection with you and really have that trust that what you're offering them is going to help them in their particular situation. And I do agree, word of mouth is so super strong. That's why a lot of groups thrive on referrals. So people asking, hey, I'm struggling with this. Do you know anyone? It's so much more, you're so much more likely to get work from that or business from that than you are from literally just going up to some random person in the street going, hey, buy my stuff. That's sometimes how creepy on social media is as well.
It's so creepy. And sometimes you get the buy my stuff on Facebook and you're like, why am I being targeted for gym bro athletic wear?
Yep. You'll probably get targeted now.
Probably. And I do want to just talk about word of mouth just for a wee bit longer because I love data. And I think it was 2020, Nielsen did a survey of about 200,000 people. So or during the pandemic, but kind of before the pandemic had really settled in.
Yep.
And 200,000 people across 52 countries, and they found that it's north of 90% of people at that time were relying on friends and family and acquaintance recommendations before they made a purchase. And so after that study, Google didn't like that very much. They did their own, I call it a revenge study. And they found that of that 90% who were relying on word of mouth. So I asked my neighbour, where should I get my hair cut? And she says, go to Sally Snips. Well, I immediately Google Sally Snips to see what she's like. And so that's why I think it's important to realise that, yes, don't just hear that word of mouth is important, also hear that your digital presence needs to look like a real functioning, trustworthy business, because word of mouth is still incredibly important. But kind of layered on top of that is, now that we are used to Googling, checking Google reviews, looking at Facebook pages, like, it's important to have that digital shop front set up. But I kind of hope that what that means is people can understand that you don't have to be posting daily to get for your social media to be effective. Yeah.
I love that you're saying that, because yes, I Google everything.
Yeah, me too. And I also we could talk for hours and hours, but also don't be scared of bad reviews. Like, you're getting a bad review as a business owner is a rite of passage. And when you're answering that review, never answer it from the point of view of being defensive. When you get a 1-star review on Google, always think about the next potential client reading that response. Because as a consumer, like, if I'm going to a new restaurant, I understand that some people have a bad day and a bad experience. A 1-star review is not going to put me off. But a defensive business owner arguing with a review, that's going to put me off.
Yep. I love that. I do like when people actually respond and kind of go,
absolutely.
sorry this happened. I often think that the bad reviews, especially if the good reviews outweigh the bad ones, I often think the bad reviews are just some cranky people who have nothing better to do at that time.
Yeah, and I'm like, don't be a 1-star reviewer. My personal philosophy is it's 5 stars or it's nothing, because I sort of think, what the hell is a 4-star review? And I think if it's a 1-star review, something really bad's happened and you probably need to call the police instead of writing a review.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I'm a 5-star reviewer or nothing, because that's my personal opinion. Is I don't understand 2, 3, and 4-star reviews. I don't get them at all. If it's 1 star, something criminal has probably happened.
Yeah.
So call the cops instead of leaving a review. And I used to be a mad reviewer, Bianca, but I don't do it as much as I used to. I don't do it as much as I used to.
I feel like not enough people actually ask for reviews, but they can be so important, especially for like cafes and restaurants and things like that. I think maybe we just need to ask for reviews a bit more.
How would you, if you were advising a hospitality client, how would you advise them to ask for reviews?
Well, I saw a really cool one recently where they have, like when you get those, I think they're like acrylic kind of table numbers or whatever they are. I saw them and it's like a circle.
Yeah.
Trying to explain it now. And it literally has engraved on it, I think, like the name and just literally an ask us and a QR code. Like, it's on the table. Like, if you enjoyed like spending time with or whatever, eating here, please leave us a review. And like, it's like a QR code. So you're like sitting at your table, it's stuck to the table, like glued to the table with your table number. I think those are really, really good. And I think sometimes you need to incentivize people for giving a review. So whether that is, give us a review and go in the draw for a, weekly or monthly dine on us for free or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think if you really want the reviews, incentivize people to complete the reviews.
Yeah.
And
I got
and keep them coming back as well.
a tricky question for you now.
Yeah.
I know that you're meant to be interviewing me. So I've got a client who's a psychologist and they're not allowed to ask for a review.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you, and I'm madly trying to think of ways that she can be reviewed and I'm just not sure. Like, do you have any advice for her?
No, they're not allowed to under APRA regulations. They are not allowed to have any testimonials or anything like that.
But I do see, when I did a bit of Googling, I see that psychologists and doctors and healthcare professionals do have Google reviews. So do they just hope that their patients and clients leave them?
Technically, they're not allowed to, but I don't know if there's a way to disable it on your Google My Business profile. But
They're not meant to have it on there at all.
it is illegal. Yes.
Um,
But I think there might not be a way to disable it on Google My Business profile. But yes, they are not allowed to.
Interesting.
So I kind of wouldn't even bother because, yes, it is again, they can have their licenses revoked, I think. So,
Right. Well, I'll be going back with contact your lawyer.
yes.
Take some legal advice, not from Facebook. Please stop doing that, people. Contact your lawyer.
No, it's definitely not allowed. I want to talk a bit more about your online community because I think I found it when we still lived in the same area.
Yeah.
And yes, you've built like a really strong online community with, a name that's hard to pronounce. Why, and you've kind of touched on it a little bit with Peach Cup, why is community so important and how is it helping business owners?
That is a very well asked question.
I know, it's the hard one, sorry.
Community is important because humans are social creatures. I'm a self-professed introvert. I really enjoy my own company. I don't feel lonely ever. I get a little bit tired when I'm in big groups. But I think it's a kind of really genetic thing. We're social creatures.
Mm-hmm.
And I see Facebook groups as my mind sometimes boggles me, but I see it as like a village green, right? I watch a lot of Midsummer Murders and they're always at the village green having a village fair. So if you imagine a time before television and before the internet, people got information from each other. Like we went to the market and we walked down to the village green and we hung out with each other during cricket matches and church and those kind of things. And so I think humans need that kind of social I think we crave that kind of social interaction, even us introverts. And I see Facebook groups as okay, so I saw a big problem with Facebook groups. Like, I just want to say that I've been members of them and they're nasty. And you and I were members of a very big one that's very nasty.
I know
And
exactly what you mean, yes.
DM me for gossip. And I didn't like that at all. I'm quite a sensitive soul and also quite a defensive soul. So I work on that. But so Facebook really wasn't for me in the initial stages of me joining because listeners, I don't know if you know this, but Facebook love arguing because it keeps your eyes stuck on Facebook because
yes.
Facebook know that controversy creates people scrolling and arguing. So Facebook doesn't care about that. As much as they say they do, they don't. So it kind of creates this space where all people complain about are, dog poo and whatever, loud bangs. But I kind of realized that if you could have a group that had some rules and a sense of community, that it could be a place where you could share information. And I actually realized this before I started my business. So before I started Jewish Your Socials, my husband and I, or my ex-husband and I, Airbnb'd a couple of our guest rooms. I went through a stage of being out of work, and then Jeff was made redundant, and it was slightly terrifying. And Airbnb had just started in Melbourne, so we rented out 2 of our spare rooms on Airbnb and did really well to start with. And then I noticed a real drop off in our bookings and how much we could charge. And I sort of realized that it was because my list didn't know what algorithms were, but sort of realized it was because my listing wasn't being promoted in the Airbnb feed. And Instagram was kind of a new thing, and Facebook had been around for a while. And I realized there was a way for me to get, without having my own website, there was a way for me to promote my Airbnb listings through Instagram and Facebook. And then I started looking for ways to do that better. And I could not find a Facebook group for Airbnb hosts specifically marketing. So I started one. And that grew to about 50,000 people in a couple of years. Like, that grew exponentially fast. And that's how my current business started, because I just decided to learn as much as I could about marketing using Instagram and Facebook. Didn't even know what a paid ad was, Bianca, by the way, back then. No idea. So I just decided to do that. And I guess I have a little bit of a natural leadership authority kind of stuff. And I had really strict rules for how people interacted. And I would kick people out for being passive aggressive. I kind of have this rule in every Facebook group I run, which is the only person who is snarky or swears is me.
Yeah.
Everybody else has to be polite and not passive aggressive and all of that stuff. Because I think that Facebook can quickly turn into a really ugly place.
Yes.
And I don't want that for my community. And I know that if I control that and I police that, I don't mind if I get the pushback from other people. Like, I'm happy to cop that, if you like. And yeah, just make it, like, it's a bit of a weasel word, but make it a safe place for people to hang out and ask questions.
Yeah.
And learn all that they can. And I probably quote from people a bit too much, but I love Zig Ziglar. He's no longer with us, but he was a salesman in America, and he wrote a lot of books, and I love his work. And Zig Ziglar says, you can have anything you want in life if you help enough people get what they want.
Yeah.
And I really believe in that. If anyone asks a question in Jewish, I'll answer it. I don't believe in keeping stuff, like, if I know the answer, or if I don't know the answer, I usually know someone in the group that will. I really believe in sharing that information. I don't believe in hoarding those kind of business secrets. And perhaps that's why it grows as well, because I just believe in sharing whatever knowledge I've got. I'm happy for other people to have it.
Yes, I love that. I think we have that same philosophy.
Yeah. And I do think that's not wanting to start a men versus women debate, but I do think that's something that we're men, and my group's not, men can join Zhuge, but it's mainly women. And I think it's because men have a different way to do business sometimes.
Yeah.
Maybe we're getting controversial. So the other thing men do really well that women could do better, and that is manifest. Men don't know this about themselves, I don't think, but men are the biggest manifestors on the planet. They manifest getting married, they manifest someone making their lunch, they manifest people bringing up their children, they manifest promotions, they manifest holidays. I cannot believe I'm going to talk about Donald Trump, but he manifested a presidency. I am the greatest.
Yeah.
He manifested a presidency. So if you're into manifesting, look at what men are doing and just start doing that.
Yeah. They're doing it. They're doing it. They really do. I think there's a quote around that as well, like, act as if you're like I don't know. middle-aged white
Oh,
man or something like that.
act as if you're a moderately attractive white middle-aged man going on a Bumble date or something. I read that somewhere.
Yes, there's a lot of things that we can learn from men, but there's also a lot of things that they could learn from us.
Absolutely.
So I want to chat a little bit about, because when you started your groups and now, what have you seen like change, like the digital landscape? Like what are things that are changing or that have changed, and how should business owners adapt?
I think since COVID, and I think we forget about this. COVID seems like in the dim dark past. What I noticed is businesses that maybe hadn't caught up to the online revolution got online. I noticed that during COVID. Like there was a
Mm-hmm.
lot of businesses without websites or Google business profiles or LinkedIn profiles that kind of got on board. I've noticed I actually think I noticed the same things. I'm not sure if a lot has changed. I think people get wound up about the algorithm really easily. And look, I'm aware that it is because the people I deal with, my clients typically are quite small, but I'm hearing what their problems are. So I may not kind of be aware of like how else it's changed. I think people just now, I do think we're on the brink of people really starting to limit their social media time.
Yeah.
I believe that, doom scrolling is the new smoking, and do see people consciously talking about digital detoxes and using social media less. Now, whether that actually eventuates, Bianca, I don't know, because I still spend way too much time on my phone.
Yeah, mine times out.
So,
I have one of those apps that tells you had this much time
yeah,
online, no more.
I've spent 29 hours in the past day. um, I, I, but I kind of get the feeling though, and perhaps it's within a particular demographic. So I would say if your demographic is upper middle class professional, I think though that group of people are going to spend less time online than they used to.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think we know, I'm going to put myself in that demographic, we know that like life is being lived outside our phone. And we probably know that in the last 20 or 10 to 20 years, we've spent a lot of time with our head down. And so I see that as a change that's coming in the future. I've never been much of a futurist. Like I'm never going to be Gary Vee saying that I knew that Uber was going to be a thing that I missed out on. I'm not much of a futurist. I guess I'm more pragmatic. Like I listen to people tell me what their challenges are and I think about how we can overcome them.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think that we need to not forget about traditional marketing methods. That we shouldn't put all our eggs in the social baskets. And even in the digital basket, I do think a digital presence is incredibly important, but to keep it on your own turf. And by that, I mean having a website and email marketing, because you own that. And it's like what we were talking about before, the algorithms. Like, yes, people get upset about the algorithms and they act so entitled. Sorry.
So Bianca, this is what I say to people, right? Facebook make money from advertising. The reason Mark Zuckerberg has billions and billions of dollars is because small, medium, and large businesses advertise. That's how he's rich, right? And so you cannot expect, as a small business owner, not paying anything to get any kind of fairness when it comes to the algorithm. It's just not a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like their whole thing is set up to make money from advertising. So yeah, I absolutely agree with that.
And one more thing, sorry, because I can get up on my high horse about this, and good on him. Because you know what?
Exactly.
Yeah, then this is why I don't like that people get so entitled when an algorithm change comes through. It's like, I can't promote my business because the algorithm has changed. I'm like, hang on, what are you in business for? For the fun of it? To, got nothing else to do? No, you're in business to make money.
Yeah.
We are in business to make money. So why would you criticize Zuckerberg? Yes, he's made millions and millions and billions of dollars. He is running a business, not a charity. We are not running a charity. We are running a business. So you want people to pay you, then if you want to get the most out of social media, start paying to get the most out of social media. And look, you can still get really good results with organic. It is just harder to get seen and heard because it's busy. It's noisy out there. Anyway, sorry, that's me on my half.
No, actually not. I'm really glad you raised that point, because when I started advertising my Airbnb rooms on Instagram, I was really, and then paid became a thing. I was really anti that, because I think there's kind of a lot of so-called marketing gurus that tell people they don't need to use paid. And I fell into the trap of believing that. But Bianca, I've changed my mind, and I now say I don't take on very many social media management clients. I just work with, people that, and this sounds entitled, but people I choose, because it is so labor intensive, social media management.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of emotion tied up in it, like, because it's expensive. It's sometimes hard to predict results. But I now say to people, right, this is how it's going to work. We're going to do organic for 6 months. And at the end of that time, we are then going to do paid. If you want sales for your business, some people just want brand penetration or the digital shop front, that's fine. But if you're expecting a return on your investment with me, this is my long-term plan for you. 6 months organic, and then after that we go paid, baby, because you just won't get the traction anymore. Because you're right, like, everybody wants to have a side hustle or has a side hustle. My nephew has a side hustle, and he's like 16. He flips pool tables, would you believe? He buys these, he and his mates buy these rundown pool tables and refurbish them and sell them.
That's amazing.
It is amazing.
But yes, everyone wants a slice of that social media pie. And look, you can. It's a hard slog. I always think, because people are like, oh, it's free. No, it's not. You either pay with your time or you pay with your money. And
also, you're leasing it. Like, I think I really want to, you made that point before about email and website and what you own. But when you post on social media, you only lease that space. You don't own it. And you are always at the whim of the people who own the platform. And that's what you sign up for. Exactly. Don't get entitled about that. But you own your email list and you own your website. I'm going to give you a stat, Bianca, because I love stats. This is my new favorite stat. 4 billion people every day open their emails. 2 billion look at Facebook. 500 million look at Instagram. So email, I think people, I don't know, and then people say to me, I had this, she wasn't a client actually, she was someone I know. Let's call her an acquaintance. And she said, oh, but I hate getting emails. And I'm like, but you're not your ideal customer.
Yes.
Like 4 billion people as opposed to 2.
Yes.
5 as many.
And you have a lot more chance to be seen in someone's inbox than you have in Facebook and Instagram, because the algorithm will only show your stuff for I don't know how long. It might pop up. Oh, well, there you go. It might pop up on their feed. It might not. This is why I really, really struggle with local businesses here in Tassie that run their business only on Facebook. And I find out about some really cool event they had 3 days after the fact, because that's when Facebook shows it in my feed.
And then, there was a change, I don't know how long ago, but what happened is a lot of business pages stopped being shown because of, I don't know whether it was a privacy, there was an update. Oh, Bianca, I have to tell you a story. So this woman that I know has business coaching, marketing coaching, And her mentor got her into a state because he said, I'm in Google, in Chrome incognito, and I can't find your Facebook page. And she was in a doom spiral about this.
Mm.
And I said to her, just tell me who's going into an incognito window to look up a decluttering service.
Yeah.
But I can see it in a normal Chrome window. Like we tested it. I said, I said, I can understand that maybe there's a problem with your settings or whatever, but like, it's actually not your biggest problem.
No.
It's actually it's not, that's not why you're not getting views on your Facebook business page. And it just, I think that's very lazy marketing advice.
Yeah.
I got really angry about that.
You need traffic, and to get traffic, you need to drive traffic to whatever you're using, whether it is a website, whether it's a Facebook page. I prefer it to be a website, but you need traffic, and traffic needs to come from different sources, whether you drive traffic through social media to your website, or go to networking events, or put flyers in people's mailboxes, or use paid ads. There's all these different ways.
Different rounds, something.
Yes, you need traffic. So
you need traffic. Yeah. And the only stuff people are not looking at house cleaning on incognito window.
No, not at all. All right. Well, so we could talk about this for hours, and I know we can. But I think this is a good one to sort of segue into the last question. What is your advice to people starting out, especially in terms of marketing and community building?
I was prepared for this question and my mind's gone blank.
I think we have answered a lot of it, that.
I think to understand that, here's my advice. Here's my advice for someone starting and marketing is to make the best possible thing that you can. So whether you're a product or a service, whatever you are, whatever you sell or provide, so you might be a charity, whatever you're doing, do it to the best of your ability without becoming a perfectionist, because we all know that gets us nowhere.
Yep.
But do whatever you can to the best of your ability. And then when you get, because you will, everybody finds clients and customers. And then really double down on how you serve them and give them an amazing experience. And that involves a lot of listening and a lot of humility. Because sometimes, quite often, when we start, particularly in a service, actually in any kind of business, when you start selling something, you can get really attached to it. And sometimes it's very hard to hear feedback.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important to ask your clients and customers, people who buy from you, ask them how you could be better or different or whatever. And then use those stories of transformation in your marketing. So once you can show that your product or service has helped someone, because we buy stuff because we want a problem solved, usually,
Mm-hmm.
in business. And so then tell those stories of transformation in your marketing.
Yes.
That's what I would advise. And oh my God, too much advice. And kind of block out all the noise about funnels and TikTok and whatever algorithms. Like, block out that noise.
Yeah, that can come later if you need to.
That can come later. You don't need a funnel at the start. I don't even really know what a funnel is, to be honest.
Well, I think everyone has funnels, whether they are intentional or not intentional. I think literally, I started.
I know what a funnel is. I really don't like it. But
no.
But to get away from that, do whatever it is you sell, do it to the best of your ability.
Yeah.
Gather some feedback from your clients, but really double and triple down on the experience that they're getting from you. Ask them if you can, and then ask them about the transformation. Like, how have you helped in their business or in their? I'm always thinking about how have you helped them?
Yeah.
You know, like if you're a chiropractor, they probably can't. But what is a good example? If you're an accountant and you've done somebody's personal tax in an amazing way.
Yep.
And then tell that story of transformation.
Yep.
In your marketing. That would be my advice. And yeah, and shut out the noise and then just keep going. Like, and I know that sounds a little bit trite, but
No,
really,
I was going to say the same thing.
because nobody does it perfectly. The only people who do perfect marketing are employees. And even then it's questionable. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like it's never going to be perfect. It's always going to be patchy. Sometimes you're going to accidentally post a cat picture to the wrong platform.
It happens. It's fine.
It happens all the time. I don't even know why.
Nobody's life is at risk when you do that.
That's right. It's just marketing.
Yes.
Just a story.
I love that. It's just marketing.
It's just marketing.
I think that's great. All right, let's wrap up. I always ask 2 questions of my guests. The first one, what are you curious about right now?
I'm curious about focus. I was an excellent student, Bianca. That won't shock you. I got straight A's, never got in trouble. I was an excellent student at school. And then I went to university and kind of the bottom dropped out of that. And I want to get back to being able to focus really intently on what I'm doing and like be productive. And so I'm really curious about how I make that happen in my life. Like I used to kind of I probably beat myself up about it for 35 years. But recently I've just decided to get curious about it. So I'm making lists and I'm meditating and I'm listening to podcasts and doing a lot of reading because I really want to. Like, I have this, sounds a bit grandiose, but I have this deep-seated belief that I'm really good at what I do and that I can help a lot of people.
Yes.
But in order to do that, I need to focus more and procrastinate less. So that is what I'm curious about.
I love that. And don't beat yourself up about it.
Thank you.
I have a little sort of mastermind group, Facebook group thing that I'm in. Like there's a couple of us in there, and it's all free, but we have anti-faff threads. So every day someone posts in there going anti-faff thread. What are you getting done today? And that accountability kind of helps me. But I also was going to mention Ali Abdaal. I don't know if you've looked at any of his YouTube videos. Ali Abdaal. He's got a YouTube channel, and he's recently written a book that's called Feel Good Productivity: How to Do More of What Matters to You. I've got it in my Kindle, so I just looked it up. But he's pretty cool. So look that up as well. The next question. And you look, I'm not the queen of productivity. I have my ups and downs, and I think that comes with the female territory. You know, we have our ups, we have our downs. Sometimes we're productive, sometimes we're not. So
yes.
The next question, if you had an extra $5,000 in your marketing budget, what would you spend it on?
Advertising.
Cool. Like you don't have to say that, but yeah, I do.
No, Well, no, but I'm at might as well be vulnerable. I'm at a stage in my business where my website's been published. It needs a bit of work. I've got my man friend, I sent him the link to the website, and he rang me up and he's like, Catharine, there's a lot of Latin words on it. I said, is that meant to be there? I said,
Lorem ipsum.
Yes. I said, no, that's just because the copywriter, aka me, hasn't quite got around to filling out that form.
I love it though. It's up. Done's better than perfect. That's my
Done's
motto.
better than. If you want to see a done better than perfect, check out my website.
Yeah.
So that's all up and going, and the bits, the copywriting bits, I do myself. I've got my branding done. I do my own captions. I really love email marketing. I'm on top of that. So for me, what I'd have no knowledge of at all is paid advertising. And for Peach Club, so I've only just launched it. I've got 13 beautiful foundation members. But me being me, I have big plans, and I know that the next phase of that is paid advertising, because we were talking about traffic. I can go to a networking meeting every day. I can post every day. I can write an email every day. It's not going to drive the numbers that I need to it. So that's what I would do. And I'm not just saying that, but that's because I've got others in my business. I'm lucky that I've got the branding sorted, the website sorted. I write my own emails. I write my own captions. I understand the benefit of belonging to a professional networking organization. All of that's happening. And so the next phase for me is the paid universe.
Yeah. Increase that traffic. And it is, it is one of the fastest ways of increasing traffic. I'm all about fast. I don't like to have to wait too long. So.
I'm actually patient. I just in my business, I'm patient. I just know that's the next, because that's what I tell my clients. This is the next logical step.
Yep. Yeah. Once you've got everything in place and you've got
the $5 grand fairy knocks
foundations
on my door today, I'll be knocking on yours.
I'm here. I'm always here. Awesome. Thank you so, so much. That is the end of this week's show. If you have any questions about marketing, building a community, head to juseyoursocials.com.au. I will put that in the show notes too, because I know it might be tricky to find. Big, big thanks to you, Catharine. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
My pleasure, Bianca. Thank you so much for having me.
You are
I always love our marketing chats, and I can't wait to talk to you again.
I know. I'm sure we'll probably have another one, because we have so much more to say.
That'd be terrific. Anytime.
And thanks to you for listening. If you like the show, don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star rating and review on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you heard the podcast. Your review will help others find the show and learn more about the amazing world of online marketing. And don't forget to check out the show notes for this episode at newschoolofmarketing.com, where you can learn more about Catharine, check out useful links, download free resources, and leave a comment about the show.